Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the free-to-play aspect of Illuvium. There was a very heated discussion in Discord about 2 weeks ago around the topic, and Aaron came in and provided some really good clarity into what the free-to-play experience could be like and what their options will be. So I wanted to make a video talking about it because coming from the mobile gaming space, I know there's a lot of free-to-play players for games out there, and with Illuvium, even though there is that incentive that, you know, you could get something that's worth money, you can sell it, so the spent money isn't really just gone, it's actually like an investment, but you don't know the returns. And some people may be like, you know, 14, 15-year-old kids that, you know, they don't want to invest money, so they're going to play it free to play. And I just wanted to talk about that aspect of the game because I think it's actually looking really, really promising, even if you come in with no money, to actually enjoy yourself and spend time in the community. So let's get into it. Okay, so first, before we talk about the free-to-play side, we've got to know what is paid. So basically, the 2 main things you're going to be paying for in the game, there will be other things that are paid, but the 2 main things to get a gameplay loop is going to be paying for travel and then paying for shard curing. The shards being your Pokeballs that you catch the Illuvials with, basically, and the travel being your access into the lands to find those Illuvials. Now, we have tiers of everything in the game. Sort of had tiers. Your Illuvials have tiers and your shards have tiers. Now, tier 0 is going to be open to everyone as free to play. Then we get into tier 1, which is paid, through to tier 5, which is paid, and they become more expensive. Now, the thing about this is, with tier 0s, there was a lot of confusion on what tier 0s we were going to get. My base understanding a while back was that we were only going to get 5 tier 0s. Now, that got confused in the fact that there is only 5 different tier 0 heroes, which I'll put on the screen now, which are Doka, Greco, Flish, and then 2 other ones we haven't seen yet. And they're going to represent each of the different classes. We have Doka being the fighter, we have Greco being the bulwark or the tank, we have Flish being the scion or the mage, and we will find out what the other 2 are. Now, with these 5 base Illuvials that we have for tier 0, which are the only ones that you can catch without paying a fee. We'll talk about how free-to-play can get money to do it from just playing the game, so you can essentially play the game like its own economy, like game economy, and not worry about taking money out or putting money in. We'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, each of these 5 different Illuvials that are tier 0s will have a different version of themselves for each affinity or element, meaning that you will have an air, nature, fire, earth, and water version of every class. And these guys will be able to fuse or evolve in Pokemon terms. But their evolutions won't be something drastic like the rest of the Illuvials. It's going to be more of a bit of a size increase and maybe a stat increase that will also come with an increase in the deployment energy cost so that you can get some customization. You know, you may want to use, you know, 2 stage 1 Dokas with a stage 3 Doka because, you know, you might want that little army of weaker Dokas running around, all attacking an enemy that maybe has a really heavy single target damage, and then you might put your big Doka on the other side with an enemy that's maybe doing AoE splash damage. So, you know, you've got all those little Dokas that are going to be taking a long time to be killed by the single target enemy, and your big chunky Doka that isn't really taking too much damage because that other enemy is targeted at AoE damage. That's just a basic example of what I'm trying to talk about. But all in all, you will have 25 different combinations of tier 0s that you can use, being you have 5 different fighters, 5 different bulwarks, 5 different rogues, 5 different scions, and 5 different empaths. But then, because they all have evolution stages, you then times that by 3, and you have 75 different allocated Illuvials that you can actually use as a free-to-play player. Now, the other thing that free-to-play gets access to is exploring the open world. And this was something I was really concerned about when we first started talking about it, when we hadn't seen any gameplay of the open world. But in the recent trailer and the leaks that Grant has given us over on Discord, the open world just looks so much fun, and I know me personally, and I'm pretty sure other content creators will do the same. There's a lot of fun things that community can do based on how you can traverse around the lands. So I think like for instance, like having checkpoints around a map and like getting people to send in, you know, videos of their times going through like a maze, or like we can create stuff, but the lands that you explore just look that interesting and exciting with mag boots and jetpacks that I feel like there's a bunch of fun in itself. Now, there's another thing that Grant just actually leaked as well, which I'll talk about more in depth in another video, but I thought that we weren't going to actually have Illuvials in the open world, but apparently we are, and there's going to be a fun tagging system to go in and actually capture them. So I feel like that whole overworld experience is going to be fun, even for free-to-play players, because it's the same experience just with different Illuvials to go ahead and capture. Now, past that, we also have the PvP side of things. Now, PvP, keep in mind all of this, you know, it's we don't even have a game to look at yet, essentially. So this stuff can change, but the PvP is aiming to be a matchmaking type system where you have like matchmaking ratings, so that if you're a free-to-play player with all tier 0s, you're probably going to get matched with other free-to-play players with all tier 0s until you get really good at it, and then you might get paired with some people with tier 1s, tier 2s, and so on and so forth. But because if they use a really good matchmaking system, it means that the PvP will still be enjoyable because you're not just getting stomped by everyone with tier 5s. If they have a matchmaking rating, which a lot of games use, they give you like a value on how good you perform, which then they try and pair you with people of similar values so that they aim to make your win ratio 50-50. But if you start having a higher win ratio, they'll put your rating up and pair you against better players to try and level out that win ratio. That's the general idea of the way they work. And I feel like if they use that type of system, it makes free to play even enjoyable. Like I would probably make maybe a tier 0 account where I just use tier 0s for fun and go in PvP and do that side of thing, because I'm not going to tank my rating on my main account if I'm paying for Illuvials and then just use tier 0s because I get stomped. I'm pretty bad, so it might happen anyway. But like, you know, I think there will be a lot of fun to be had in that system as well. So in a nutshell, that's what free-to-play will get. They will get exploration, which looks crazy fun. You'll get the ability to catch these tier 0 Illuvials, which will give you a wide variety of classes and affinities to actually play with and theory craft and team build around. And then we have the PvP, which you can still compete in. It's not like you're just excluded from content. However, when we look at free to play, there is also that side of the game where you might be able to level up these tier 0s and get them to their 3rd stage and then level them to max, and they could be valuable to other people coming into the game as a cheap entry point. So we're going to have a wide variety of people playing the game, and say someone who comes in, you know, they're used to spending maybe $20 a month in a game. They don't want to go through that grind. You know, there's different levels of spending everywhere, but they might just want to buy a fully leveled tier 0 so that they can have an easier time jumping into the content that they want to play. So those free-to-play players who only have access to tier 0s can then level them up, and then when you want to sell them, they hold their levels, so you can sell them on the exchange, make a little bit of money, but we don't know exactly how much this is going to be. Now, I have a theory that at the start of the game, it's going to be at a premium because, you know, whales will come in and like early on, They won't want to do the grind, and they just want to buy stuff. I've seen this many times in mobile games. Whales just want to buy their way. They don't want to do the grind. It perfectly makes sense. But I feel like at the launch of the game, it's going to be at a premium, especially if you're there day one grinding up these tier 0s, because there won't be many on the market, so you can name a premium price. As the game goes on, the price will decrease on these, obviously. But maybe one of these tier 0s becomes meta in competitive play. Like, there's no reason that they can't. There might be some niche thing about one of these tier 0s that might make them meta for a certain period of time and then adds value to them. So these free-to-play players can level up these tier 0s and then possibly make a little bit of income from them. Now, how many you're going to have to level up and sell depends on the way the market falls. But past that, you might be able to earn some money by selling them, which then, like I said earlier, lets you play it like an in-game currency where you then sell them, you make money off of that sale, and then you can use that to pay for travel and shard curing to go and catch your first tier 1 Illuvial. Now, as a free-to-play player, I think this is like a really exciting way to do it. I view Illuvium a lot like a card game. I've said this a lot, that I played competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, I'm a nerd, but dude, going into... we need to do some Illuvium like live events, because playing against someone in person with Yu-Gi-Oh! Was so fun, but I'm not gonna get sidetracked in this one. But I look at it like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where or the Magic the Gathering, whatever you play. Pokemon cards if you played that competitively, but that was more of a collecting thing. No one played it competitively. Do know a few people. Anyway, it's like a card game. And to play a card game, you actually have to buy cards. Like, you can't play without cards. So what Illuvium's doing is actually giving you a full gaming experience without having to buy that starter deck. And keep in mind, when you play a competitive card game, a starter deck is not going to win you tournaments. I think my most expensive deck was about $1,700 when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Which I managed to come third, just shilling my own Yu-Gi-Oh! Skills here. But like, to perform well in tournaments, you need really good decks. And I feel like that is what Illuvium is also going to be. But having said that, the thing that I loved about Yu-Gi-Oh! As well was I could then sell that deck and time it. So I sold it while it was still in meta, and then maybe play with, you know, subpar decks for another month or two until the meta shifted. And then I'd have those funds that I made by selling that deck, and I could buy a new deck and play. And I feel like the economy of Illuvium will run very similar to the economy of card games, basically. But like I said, instead of having to pay something to actually play, you can get in for free and then generate revenue to get those cards. It's kind of like having a free deck to play a card tournament in, winning the tournament with the deck, or get a participation prize, which is a pack of cards, and then you start building. So that is the way I look at it. I don't look at it like a traditional mobile game in the free-to-play aspect, because I compare crypto games, NFT games more closely to the card game. Now, I spent way too much time trying to explain that analogy. I hope it did make some sense, but basically, let's do a quick recap on the free-to-play experience. Open world exploration, which looks absolutely insane. You obviously have access to the community, and I think there's going to be so many fun community-run events and stuff like that. I know myself, I know I've spoken to Seaton. We're both going to get involved in it because I just think there is so much fun to be had, even as free-to-play. And then obviously, you get to capture and battle the Illuvials and level them up and have that bit of attachment, and then you get to go into PvP as well, and then you also have the chance to maybe make some money. But on the other side, I feel like a free-to-play player who comes in, spends no money, generates a bit, then gets a tier 1 travel and catches a tier 1 Illuvial, that tier 1 Illuvial is going to feel really special. I can just see it. I know for me personally, if I did that and I worked my way up, it would feel so rewarding, and that would be an Illuvial that I would never sell because I'd have that attachment to it. It's kind of like the first Pokemon I ever caught in a Pokemon game was on my brother's Game Boy, and it was a Nidoran male, and I have fallen in love with Nidoking, and it's my favorite, and there's nothing that's going to change my mind. And I feel like Illuvium has a chance to sort of give that to players, and the fact that you can play for free and allow younger players to have that experience, I think it's going to be amazing. But, you know, I'm a big nostalgic Pokemon nerd, so maybe you won't get that vibe, but I guarantee somebody will. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.